There is Bobby Cox, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma back in 1941. And he's been a fixture in Atlanta, Georgia for years and years. One of the winningest managers all time in baseball. And the former Brave Jason Marquis missed on his first delivery, did not miss on his second. It's 1-1 on one of the newer Braves, Nate McLeod.
5 home runs, 15 RBIs in a Braves uniform.
On the ground to Todd Helton. You'll see a lot of that with Jason Marquis. 3-1 is how you score that. Let's take a look at Bobby Cox's lineup this evening. After McLeod, Martin Prado, who's swinging the bat very well. He'll be in the 2-hole. Chipper Jones started last night for the first time in a few days. He's nursing a groin strain. Brian McCann again in the cleanup spot. Garrett Anderson has swung the bat well. Ryan Church, who came yesterday in the trade for Jeff Francoeur from the Mets. He's in the lineup in right field in the 6-hole at Brooks Conrad. Diori Hernandez again for Yunel Escobar. And a good athlete, Jair Jurgens, the pitcher batting 9th. One out, here's Prado. And the fastball is in there for a strike.
I've been impressed with Prado, the way he plays the game. At first, the first night, filled in for Chipper Jones. At first base for Kochman the next couple of nights.
Kochman still battling the flu. Is available, we are told, later on if necessary. 2-strike count quickly on Prado. Game time temperature 80 degrees, and it is, for Denver standards, a bit humid. Ball was really flying in batting practice. And a backup slider, George, that worked perfectly.
Well, Paul Nauert just gave one look right at him and said it was there, and it seemed to be. It wasn't in the location at all where Iannetta wanted it on that outer half, but it backed up enough into the strike zone. He gets the call strike. Let's look at the Fidelity scouting report on Jason Marquis tonight. Fastball 88-93 is going to sink to both sides of the plate. You witnessed that obviously with the first 2 batters. The back door. Good downward depth on that hard slider that he'll use. That last backed up. And his changeup acts an awful lot like his fastball. It's going to have sink to it. It's going to have tail to it. He just reduced the velocity off to create more sink.
Well, Chipper Jones is 5 for 10 with 3 home runs against Marquis. And he got him on a changeup. What a great start for Marquis. 7-pitch inning for Marquis. 2 ground balls and a punch out. That's what we've seen a lot of late. Back to the dugout. Jim Tracy watched a 7-pitch inning for Jason Marquis, and here's his lineup tonight. Hoping to break loose against Atlanta. They had just 1 run last night. Dexter Fowler up top. Clint Barnes in the 2-hole at 280. Todd Helton hit a home run last night, the 320th of his career. He's 4 for 9 lifetime against Jurgens, including his 2000th career hit earlier this year. Then Hop, Tulowitzki, Stewart, Iannetta. The only change from last night, pinch hitter extraordinaire Seth Smith will get 4 ABs. He'll be in left field batting 8th in front of Marquis.
Very quickly, the Fidelity scouting report, 90-94. 2-seam sink on the fastball. He will show a 4-seam slider, short and tight. The changeup, his fourth best pitch, or excuse me, third best pitch. It will have some fade to it, much like his fastball, but relies primarily on the fastball to get you out almost 70% of the time.
I asked a couple of Rockies regulars today what makes him so tough, and they said, man, he locates everything.
Well, that, and look at his delivery, Drew. You never really see the ball till it gets to the top of it. His arm doesn't come out behind the body. He keeps it on his body line extremely well. Comes out of the glove. He's very, very compact on the mound. And it's just a very sound delivery. Stays on line to the plate. Makes it a little bit easier to do it. It does possess a pretty good fastball. See what we're talking about. Watch, folks, as you're looking as a hitter straight on, how he stays right on this line all the way into the plate. See, you just never really see the ball till right there. But everything he throws is right on line to the plate.
3-0 on Dexter Fowler.
Now, the one area that has given him fits, left-handers. They've hit 301 against him this year. Right-handers just a $191.
Yeah, how about that? Because, you know, you're going to load up on lefties when you face Jurgens, but not every team has the luxury that the Rockies do of putting, you know, 5 outstanding left-handed bats in the lineup. I mean, Fowler's a switch hitter. Then you have Helton, Hopp, Ian Stewart, tonight Seth Smith.
Now, that hard sinker, a lot of times you try to overthrow it. It'll come up into the strike zone. How about his home and road numbers? To me, this is pretty amazing. At home, 54 1/3. Out on the road, 54 1/3. 47 hits at home, 49 on the road. The opposition, 240 at home. Out on the road, 246. The record 3-3, 283 earned run average on the road. 3-4 at home, 298. Pretty consistent. The one thing that doesn't happen for him when he's on the mound, they don't score runs. 2.9 runs per start, run support for him.
And he fits the mold, going back to the Leo Mazzoni days, now Roger McDowell, an outstanding pitching coach. He fits the mold, George, of an Atlanta starter, doesn't he?
Well, he does, and it's not a guy that was molded in their minor leagues. That's the thing about it.
This could be a problem. It will be, and it gets thrown away. Unfortunately for the Rockies, it didn't find the opening. You always hope now, when the opposition throws it away like that, it finds one of the little openings with the fencing in front of virtually every dugout baseball.
It does now. And I mean, again, if you can get it to throw right into this little hole here, that gap, obviously you're going to get into second base, but hit right off of the screen. McCann was right there. Tough play for Conrad. Tough play for any second baseman. A base hit for Dexter Fowler.
So hopefully the Rockies can utilize Dexter's speed here. He gets checked out right away. Barmas at the plate.
I was so impressed with McCann the other night when he threw him out. 1.78 to second base on the throw, and it was on the money.
That's as good as it gets in terms of transition.
And you can't allow it to stop what you do well. And for Dexter to go ahead and try and steal the base and try to get a better jump off of the pitcher.
What'd you have there, George?
Didn't have him. I was watching Dexter.
You had the stopwatch.
WW. Wasn't watching.
It's a little early for WW.
No, I was watching Dexter and his move over there to see what they were doing, how deep he was in his stretch. You can see where he is lined up with the base, trying to, if he goes back, he'll be in line right on the backside.
This is in the air to right field. Ryan Church, wow, the wind really grabbed that. And now I look up at the flags. It is gusting to right field, which could bode well for the left-handed bats tonight. Here are the Braves defensively. Actually, Garrett Anderson is out in left field, not Diaz. Nate McLeod and Ryan Church in the outfield. Chipper Jones, Diori Hernandez, Brooks Conrad, Martin Prado, and Brian McCann. Todd Helton with one out. You know, it's a real subtle thing, George. But when the ball is up and in, or on the inner half at all, and a runner goes for a catcher, the left-handed bat just a little bit more of a distraction.
Well, sure it is. Right-handed thrower. You got him out in front of you. There's a snap throw there. Particularly on the swing, because a lot of times they fall forward in line with the swing, and if it's an action of swinging the bat, not trying to step out in front of somebody on purpose. 1-2-5 to answer your question.
It's pretty good.
Yep.
Hilton at 315. One of 6 Rockies with 10+ home runs. It's the first time in team history the Rockies will go into the All-Star break with 6 players in double figures for home runs. And it supports the point we've made going back to March when we were discussing this team. There may not be a guy who hits 40, but there are going to be a bunch of guys that can hit 15 to 25 or 30.
And drive in runs. You know, base hits are wonderful with men on base. You're not going to hit a 3-run homer all the time. And I go back to the days that you're talking about, Bichette, Burke, Walker, Castilla. Yeah, they all hit 30 home runs, sometimes 40. They drove in 100. What was the Rockies' record? Not very good.
1-1. Todd fouls it off. Dexter's been out there now for about 5 pitches. See if he's got a read as you look at Helton over his last 5 years. And what should be noted is the RBI total of 57, the best since he had 57 in 04 at the All-Star break. So this is Todd's best first half in terms of producing runs in 5-6 years. 1-2 on Todd. No movement. It's fouled off. You may be at home saying, why isn't Fowler going? The reason he's not going, McCann is quick, and Jurgens is getting to the plate in under 1-3. I mean, they're doing what we do up here, timing him to the plate, and they're saying the numbers don't work. There he goes, and here's the throw, and he got underneath it. '19 stolen base, 20th stolen base, excuse me, for Dexter Fowler.
Well, this is all about the jump. As soon as the leg went up, that's what he's keying on, that front heel of the pitcher. And when it went up, and then the throw from McCann sailed. What Drew talked about earlier, too, with the left-handed bat up, if you watched what McCann did there, and hopefully we'll give you a replay of it behind the plate, of what he had to do on the throw.
He just has to clear himself a little bit.
Watch, yeah, this is what we're talking about. He's going to have to step a little bit into the right batter's box. We'll catch it right after this at bat.
3-2 on Helton. Outside, ball 4.
Let's look at what we're talking about here. Watch when he receives how he's going to have to see how he slid out to clear himself. Well, that split second of moving out, and then you work around the baseball or through the inside of it, you get a little bit of a tail to it.
So here comes All-Star Brad Hopp with 2 on. Brad continues to be one of the league leaders in hitting with runners in scoring position. 3 for 12 with a home run against Jurgens.
Before that steal by Fowler, Jurgens had, he and McCann combination had thrown out 7 of 13. So now it's almost 50%. That's extremely high for the average in baseball, which is about 25%.
Really
so
gone
double that.
Really gone down, George, the last 15-20 years.
Well, less emphasis put on 1, the running game, but 2, on the work of holding guys on and trying to make pitches at the plate, trying to get double play balls. By the way, Jurgens' ERA 5th best in the National League at 2.91.
He's 1-1 at Coors Field. 2 starts with a 2.45 ERA here. Beat the Rockies last June 7-1 at Coors Field. 2 balls and a strike. He went to that changeup again. Got a good changeup. Jurgens from Curacao, very good athlete, very bright young man. He speaks 5 languages. Inside, good eye by Hopp. And it's 3-1. Tulowitzki's on deck. The top 3 in earned run average in the National League all reside in the National League West. Dan Herron has had a wonderful year. Lincecum and Kane with the Giants. Josh Johnson for the Marlins. And Hopp pulls it down the line. It's foul. Let's check our Bird Automotive keys to the game. George, what do you have?
Well, a lot of different things need to happen tonight. The one thing that's kind of a constant is you got an all-star on the mound in Marquis. Add on to that win total of 11 ball games. And the defense behind him, obviously, it's going to have to play a role in this. And patience, I think, with Jurgens. Make him throw strikes. Make him get it to the middle of the plate. Because he's had to work to a lot of 3-2 counts. Here he is, 3-2 on Hop. He walks Helton. Was behind on the count on Fowler with a base hit.
3-2, hit to short, and Helton did a really nice job of first distracting Conrad and then picking up the speed to make sure he got into second. So with 2 outs, 2 runners in scoring position as the runners were in motion, and Tulowitzki will come up.
Now, the ball was a jam shot. In other words, it got in on the hands of Hop, and when it got in there, he doesn't, obviously not going to be hit very hard, but all that Helton was trying to do is glide to the baseball and then slow down enough to distract a little bit and prevent the double play from happening.
Tulowitzki with 35 RBIs, looking to add to that total right here. He's got a 4-game hitting streak, 6 for 16 during that stretch. 1 for 4 last night. Rockies have been outscored in the first inning. It'd be nice to see them get a jump. And this ball is lathered, but right at Diori Hernandez. You cannot hit it any harder. Just hit it right at the Atlanta shortstop. Mark.
Hey, Drew, George, I talked to Jason Marquis before the game about his connection with Alan Embry, the other pitcher that's pretty much in the news for the Rockies today on the DL with that busted bone in his leg from last night. And I said, do you realize that you pitched against Alan Embry in the World Series when Embry was a member of the Red Sox? That was in '04. And Marquis then was on the Cardinals. And Boston swept that World Series 4 games to none. They actually pitched against each other in the same inning in the 7th inning of Game 2. Marquis started Game 4. He looked at him and he said, I have no idea who was on the pitching staff of the Red Sox that year. He said, I might be able to tell you a few guys, but not Alan Embry. And as a fan, I'm thinking, everybody knows that Embry has appeared in 882 games and he's been on this team and that team. He said, nope, didn't even know I pitched against him in the World Series. So that's what Marquis told me before the game, guys.
This ball pulled in the corner, and it looks like at least 2 for Brian McCann. This is 3rd double of the series.
This is one of the hardest wins I've seen blow at Coors Field. Look at those flags out above the scoreboard. That ball had a little bit of topspin to it, kept it in the yard. It is flat howling here at the ballpark.
Here's the Rockies defensively. Seth Smith for Carlos Gonzalez. That's only the only change from the first 2 ball games. Fowler and Hop join him in the outfield. Then Stewart, Tulowitzki, Barmes, and Helton left to right. Chris Iannetta again with all the gear on. Garrett Anderson at the plate. a hard sinker for a strike to Anderson. Slider, a jam, Garrett Anderson, and it's quickly a 2-strike count on Anderson. He had a clutch hit in the first inning yesterday, a 2-run double on a slider that hung a little bit against Jimenez, and that was the only mistake Ubaldo made. Well, after that, he was outstanding.
His hot spot's right here. He loves the ball, and no matter how hard you throw it, he loves the ball on the inner half of the plate. And yesterday, the ball that Drew's talking about was 87 miles an hour. So it's much harder than what the average slider is at the big league level. And it just stayed up into the zone long enough for him to drive into right center field.
Ground ball to help. So Garrett Anderson does his job. He moves the runner, McCann, to third with 1 out. And now the first at bat in an Atlanta uniform for Ryan Church. Church came up in the Expos organization, spent 4 years with the Expos / Washington Nationals, then moved on to the Mets most of the last 3 years. He's always battled injuries. He's a very gifted guy. He's more of a platoon outfielder in that his numbers left on left are not great. But against righties, this year he's hitting well over 300. Chatted with him before the ball game. He said, you know what, it was a big surprise to trade, because usually you hear some rumblings or rumors. I hadn't heard anything, to quote him. He did add, I always wanted to play for Bobby Cox. Well, now he's got the opportunity.
Probably accepted easier for Church because of what Drew's saying. Traded already in his career one time from the original organization. For Frank Coor, it may be a little bit more of an adjustment, leaving a town where he really was a hero and going to New York. Be a lot of pressure on the young man to succeed there.
1-1, a lot of movement on that fastball. It's 2-1.
Well, right now the Mets lead in that ball game 4-0 in the fourth inning over Cincinnati. Frank Coor 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs, making his presence felt early in a Met uniform.
Well, they need help offensively. That misses, and it's 3-1 on Church. Church is good friends with Ryan Spilborghs. They grew up playing against one another in the Santa Barbara area. Ryan's about a year older. Ryan Church, I should say, is about a year older than Ryan Spilborghs. Spilly getting a catnap in. Here's the 3-1 on the ground to second, and the runner holds McCann because the infield was halfway. George, you can do that when you have a guy that doesn't have great speed at third base, and it paid off.
That's the whole key to it. I mean, they were basically a double play depth on the infield, which is about 4 steps in. And that allowed them to do that. But you also have a shortstop's arm at second base, and Clint Barmas that can really throw well. So it also allows you to do that. Quick check over. And then the toss on to Todd Helton.
It's a great luxury as Brooks Conrad steps in to have Barmas at second with, as George described, a shortstop's arm. And also, let's not forget that the first baseman throws as well as any first baseman in the game. Todd Helton, the former closer way back when at the University of Tennessee. Two 2-0. Marquis bearing down here. He knows he got a tough draw, as they say in a rodeo. When you draw a tough bull, you like that. Chance for a better score, but he has drawn a tough opponent, Jair Jurgens, outside 3-0. It's almost as if, George, he'd rather go right on right with Diori Hernandez, the kid, in the on-deck circle.
Well, he's kind of looking that way, isn't it? I mean, he just kind of, and again, part of that is with that hard sinker that he's throwing right now, he's letting his hand get off to the side of it. When your hand gets off to the side, you get more sail out of it instead of staying behind it, just driving it to the outside corner. There's a pretty good one at 90. But yet still didn't have a lot of sink, more sail to it. Just made a little adjustment with the hand and the wrist.
Let's see if he can make a pitch here on Conrad. Called up when Kelly Johnson hurt his wrist a few days ago. Going sans the batting gloves. Sharply hit. Helton gets eaten up, and it's going to cost the Rockies a run. You rarely see that. That ball was hit very hard. Todd couldn't knock it down in front of him. And Atlanta takes a 1-0 lead. That's the first run scored in more than 18 innings against Jason Marquis, and they're going to give him a hit.
Well, and justifiably so, too. I mean, Helton had, if you watch the replay there, you saw Helton have to go to his foul territory side to try to get to that baseball. And then it was a dive to try to get to it. Hit off of the glove and shot into the outfield.
Here's Hernandez. He has one hit in the series. It was a big one last night with the ball game 2-1. Peralta had 2 on and 2 outs. Diori Hernandez lined a 2-run single to right center field. That gave the Braves a 4-1 cushion.
Yeah, a horrible breaking ball hitter. They got a fastball in. He got it up out over the plate. Middle half in, about belt high.
And he's got another base hit as he blocks it into right field. Hot bobbled it for a second. Conrad took 1 step toward third and said, wait a second, I've seen this guy throw. I agree with you right now, George. There seems to be more a cross movement, if you will, than downward movement with the sinker. It's kind of a tailing fastball as opposed to a sinking fastball.
Well, and it's all about the positioning of the hand, not so much the elbow.
On Jurgens with 2 on and 2 outs, 1-0 Atlanta. They've taken the lead in all 3 ball games. This one sneaks through, and a green light for Conrad. Here's a throw by Smith, not in time. Did he run through a stop sign?
I thought it was a stop sign. I want to look at it again. Brian Seneca, the third base coach over there, I want to see what happened because I thought he ran right through it. 4th RBI for the young right-handed pitcher. Let's watch again right here. Look at him coming in. See both hands up? Got them both up. He ran by him and said, okay, well, guess what? You better get going then. Because you got something coming quick.
Yeah, I'm wondering. We'll have to look a third time. I'm wondering if Smith somehow, you know, if he saw the hands up at all.
He still got to air it out.
He still got to air it out.
Yeah,
but it seemed like he was to the baseball and then. I have to look again. I may be wrong
but
on
you
that.
know, but in the same essence, regardless of what you think of a coach, whether you think he put his hands up or not, or if you saw him put the hands up, you can't trust a base runner. They're going to run right through it. I mean, he aired that thing out pretty good, and it was right on the money.
2-0 Atlanta, and now you have to deal with Nate McLeod from the top. Marquis was very special when he faced his former club in Atlanta on May 18th. Gave up a run on 5 hits in 8 innings as the Rockies won 5-1. Struck out 3 and walked 3. That's a good pitch. Let's see. Smith gets to the baseball. See, he paused for just a smidgen.
Yeah, but you know what, Drew? You can't anticipate a guy not running through a sign. I mean, you got to air that thing out. I thought maybe just getting his feet under it, because I tell you what, he threw a bullet to the plate. He really did. It was right on the money. Collision time together at the same time. What has McLeod meant to these guys? Look at this. .313 average with 2 outs and runners in scoring position.
Seven pitches in the first inning. 26 pitches here in the second inning for Jason Marquis. And he gets McLeod. 2 runs come in on 4 hits for Atlanta. Rocky Mountain after the All-Star break, 4 games at Petco against the struggling San Diego Padres, who were no-hit last night by Jonathan Sanchez. In fact, in that ball game, the only reason it wasn't a perfect game, Juan Uribe kicked a ground ball. He had to charge one and couldn't come up with it at third base cleanly in the 8th inning. Otherwise, Jonathan Sanchez would have joined a select group as one of 16 pitchers to throw a perfect game. I think there's 15 perfect games in big league history. Doug's going to check for us.
How about the play made by Roland in center field when he climbed the wall? What a great play. That was probably the hardest hit ball in the game.
Yeah.
Goes all the way up on the wall, climbs up on it, makes the catch. There's a hard hit ball in the left field that got caught right in front of the wall. Other than that, I mean, he was pretty much total command of the ball game.
Yeah, the last perfect game came in '04 when Randy Johnson threw the perfecto against the Atlanta Braves. 1-1 on Ian Stewart, leading things off in the 2nd. Rockies had 2 runners on in the 1st with 1 out. Couldn't do anything with it. That was reminiscent of last night. They just could not get a hit, a key hit, when they needed it in last night's ball game. And Atlanta continues the trend they started last night. They have gotten the key hit. I mean, a ball that Todd Helton got to, and if you ask Todd, I mean, he expects to get everything. He'll probably tell you he should have fielded that ball. They gave him a hit on it.
I agree with you. Yep.
And it was hit hard by Brooks Conrad. But Helton is always his own toughest critic.
Well, what it amounted to last night in crucial situations in that 8th inning, Rockies hitters didn't get hits and Rockies bullpen didn't do its job, because they could have kept it a 2-1 ball game and then try to get something going with it. That from that point you got a little better shot than forward. But their left-handers came in and just handled the left-handed bat.
Fans, feed your Rockies fever at Taco Bell. If the Rockies score 7 or more runs during any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6. Get 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink. Good deal. Chris Iannetta is starting to swing the bat well. 4 hits in his last 7 at bats. Out in front there. It was a dominant no-hitter. Obviously, any no-hitter is dominant. That's kind of a silly statement, but the reason I used that term is Jonathan Sanchez struck out 11 and did not walk a batter.
Guy that was 2-8 with an earned run average over 8. Think about that. And delegated to the bullpen, and when Randy got hurt, he got a chance to come in.
There have been a number of pitchers in the history of the game, that misses 2-1, that have had mediocre careers, if you will, that have thrown no-hitters. Not every guy who's thrown a no-hitter is a big star. There's guys who had wonderful nights and relatively pedestrian careers.
Don't forget about the power ticket offer that's going on right now with the Rockies. Purchase a midfield box ticket at a regular price and receive $10 to use at one of the concessions at no additional charge. It's a heck of a deal. You buy one of those midfield box seats, you get $10 to spend at the concession. The diamond deal is only available online at ColoradoRockies.com.
So Seth Smith with 2 outs and nobody on. He had a double as a pinch hitter last night, hitting just under 500. He's hitting 480 as a pinch hitter. As a pinch hitter, his OPS, that's batting average plus slugging percentage, is 1354, which will break the calculator. 0-2 on Smith. He continues waiting for a batch of his bats to come in that he just ordered, because he's been using Todd Helton's bats over the last few weeks. He's gone to a really big bat. 35-inch, 33-ounce bat, which maybe 25 years ago wasn't all that big, but by today's standard, that's a large bat.
A lot of guys, they use a lot of 33 30s. But you're right, that is a very big bat.
Inside on Seth.
Plus, I can tell you another reason he's probably going to Todd Helton's bat rack. He gets pretty good wood based on what he is as a hitter. You used to see Keith Hernandez, some of those other guys' bats come in. I know Reggie's bats. Guys that I played, they didn't count the grain, they counted the knots. I mean, their bats were unbelievable. Hernandez
got a little harder wood, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. And Hernandez used to take his and hit him on his cleats. On the backside of his bat, there would be cleat marks all the way up and down. I said, what do you do that for? He said, it compresses the wood, makes it harder.
Guys do all sorts of things. Take the bone to the bat.
Make it harder. Just take an old cow bone. It's down there in the Rockies locker room right now. You can take and rub it against it.
Jurgen strikes out Smith. He has a 1-2-3 second. Atlanta leads the ball game 2-0. The Rockies beat Washington. Of course, in his previous start, he had a complete game shutout. And then Alan Embry comes on, and he picks off a runner. Rockies would get a couple runs when Garrett Atkins ripped one down the left field line. And Embry was the winning pitcher without having thrown a pitch. Garrett Atkins, a hero for driving in those 2 runs off the bench. Our AMCO clutch plays of the week. Marquis gave up 2 runs with 2 outs in the last inning, and he'll deal with the 2-hole. Martin Prado, who he caught looking in the first inning. Prado hitting .453 over his last 16 ball games. And you want to go back further than that. In his last 26 games in which he has an at-bat, he's hitting .404. Done a good job. George mentioned earlier he would play some third when Chipper needs a rest. He can play first base, versatile guy. In the air to left. See everything drifting still left to right in the air. The wind is really howling in that direction. Tonight's injury report is brought to you by the Exempla Lutheran Medical Center. And last night, Alan Embry was hit in the lower leg. He suffered a spiral fracture of the tibia. And he had surgery this morning. We wish Alan all the best. Guy has been occupying bullpens throughout Major League Baseball for a long, long time.
Yeah, he really has. And again, I still think you may see him in September. Pretty determined guy. And the last way you want to walk out on the field, or walk away from the field, I should say, is on a stretcher heading to a hospital.
1 ball, 1 strike on Chipper Jones. And this ball's hit well to center field. Fowler going back, still going back, and it's going to short hop the wall. Chipper jogs into second with a double. He's now 6 for 12 in his career against Jason Marquis.
That on a fastball, too. Drew mentioned back in the first inning they were going to try to counteract the fact that he's got a little bit of a pull growing and get him out on that front foot to where he couldn't time anything. You can tell now you don't see a lot of twist with that lower body. It's more of an upper body swing, but a very strong man. But when he got a fastball to hit at 90 that stayed up into the strike zone, all of a sudden he was able to use that bat speed and that strength to drive it into left center. Fun guy to watch play the game.
Tremendous, tremendous hitter. He has a .310 lifetime average as Brian McCann looks at ball 1. And among switch hitters, Chipper's .310 lifetime average is second only to Frankie Frisch. Home runs, George, among switch hitters, he's third. Eddie Murray, who you competed against, and Mickey Mantle, who you got to know, and Mickey was around the Yankees.
Took a long time for Eddie to catch him, too, and pass him. Will Chipper play that long? Who knows?
He could shut it down today. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my book. 2-0 on Jones. Excuse me, on McCann. With Jones on second, and Smith's going to run out of room. With Alan Embry going down, the Rockies had to make a roster move today. Matt Belisle, who was up with the Rockies for a while earlier and then designated for assignment. He cleared waivers and has been pitching in Colorado Springs, and he's been pitching pretty well down there. So Matt was called up.
Well, working out of the bullpen down there, he started early. Then about the last 12 ball games, they've stuck him down into the bullpen, and he's done a nice job throwing the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning for them. By the way, the Sky Sox leading their division by 4.5 entering play today.
They've gotten contributions from a lot of people. Matt Burton's had a big year. E.Y. Jr.'s had a big year. Mike McCoy's had a big year.
Guys are having good years down there. I mean, E.Y.'s average under 300, but the stolen base is very high. Runs scored high. As a leadoff man, that's what you want to see.
Daniel Ortmeyer has done a nice job.
Okay, well, let me ask you, talking about all those guys that have done a nice job down there, but think of where the Rockies would be now if they didn't have the help of the bullpen from Colorado Springs. There's only 2 guys that started the season in the bullpen that are still down there. And one of those is on the DL now, Alan Embry.
We should also mention that Jorge De La Rosa, because he won't start again before the All-Star break, he would be scheduled to go Monday. He is available in the bullpen over the next couple of days. This ball is foul, and the bat head ends up about 75 feet from home plate. Seen a lot less of this in 2009 than we saw in 08 and 07.
Yeah, I guess there was a lot of emphasis over the winter put on the bat manufacturing and how things were done with them. And there you go. I mean, all of a sudden you're starting to see a lot less broken bats.
Imagine yesterday was a bit of a difficult day for Brian McCann. I mean, he grew up in the game with Jeff Francoeur. I mean, literally from the time they were kids. This ball to second. Varmus will throw out McCann. And with 2 outs, Chipper Jones goes to third.
Well, there's a team down there in high school that plays in a summer league called East Cobb.
Yep.
And they start at 12 and under, 14, and then they go to 16 and 18, and they groom them. And they're one of the most powerful traveling squads. They pull from all over the South. Michael Maine, #1 draft pick with the Texas Rangers, pitched for them. He lived in Florida. I mean, they brought different guys in to play. Well, Francoeur and McCann each played on those ball clubs together growing up. It's funny how those summer league reputations those teams carry around with them, much like the Dallas Mustangs, the team from Cincinnati. I can't
Midland Redskins.
Yep, the Midland Redskins. That when you hear their name mentioned, everybody goes, "Oh, you played for them?"
Yeah.
We're talking about baseball people.
Anderson sees that one down. It's 2-0.
By the way, the Tulsa Drillers, 3rd place, 3 back right now. Modesto 5 and 11, 8 back. Nashville Tourists tied for 1st place at 10 and 5. And the Tri-City Dust Devils, a short season A team, in 1st place. Casper Ghost right up the road here from Denver.
Slowly hit to Varmus. Anderson doesn't run well, and he gets it to Todd Helton. So Chipper Jones left at 3rd base after doubling with 1 out. 2-0 Braves. Marquis will lead it off. Minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Dex, take the sport out of finding local information with Dex and print online at dexknows.com. And by Birch Chevrolet, where the 09 Silverado Crew Cab 4x4 is only $25,995. 2 pitches into the at-bat. Jason Marquis has a count of 1-1. Dexter Fowler on deck. Rockies had an opportunity in the first inning. 2 on, 1 out. And Brad Hopp grounded out. Troy Tulowitzki hit a laser, but right at the shortstop, Diori Hernandez.
Would you ever think that the Rockies, you'd sit in a conversation, talk about National League starters, a rank in ERA, but you'd think the Rockies would be in 7th at 408? Well, San Francisco, great pitching staff. St. Louis, very good pitching staff and a great ballpark. And Atlanta's 3rd. The Rockies 7th. So you're just percentage points away from being in the top 5.
Here's why I say you never say never anymore, because when the Rockies had that marvelous run of 07 that took them to the World Series, from the All-Star break on, the second half, in quotations, of the season, they had the lowest ERA in the National League.
And why did they have that?
Well, they played great defense, and they're playing very good defense during the last 6 weeks.
And they didn't create innings by walking people. There's the lowest time they'd walk people. Right now, the Rockies are 2nd with the fewest walks in the National League as a pitching staff. That was the one thing the managers hated about Coors Field. You come in there, you walk a couple of guys, you give up a gap shot. 2-run score. Throw the ball over, make them beat you.
Dexter pulls it down the line. This could be triple territory. Long run for Ryan Church. And he gets caught up in the corner. Here goes Dexter toward 3rd. He'll get there standing up. Boy, is he ever an exciting player. 4th triple for Dexter Fowler, the rookie from Atlanta.
See what this pitch is. Yeah, he got way out on it. That ball was a little bit away from Dexter, but look how far off of the line they're giving him at the first base side, and he's hooked it right down into that corner. A missed pitch by Jurgens, and then all of a sudden you see Dexter just take off, and he hit into second base. No reason to look back that way. Pick up your 3rd base coach, Rich Dower.
Dexter never shifted gears either, George. Did you see that?
He didn't have to.
No.
263, Barmes with runners in scoring position.
And it's imperative here for Clint. He looks at the defensive alignment. Even with the bag on the corners, infield back, conceding a run, you have to get it in play here.
And what Drew's talking about is the middle of the infield's back conceding, the corners are tight. So ball hit very hard at 3rd base, and they're probably going to freeze Dexter. Coming hard in with a heater. Right on the knuckles of Barmes.
Yeah, Jurgens now has accomplished what he's wanted to accomplish in the first part of this at bat. If you could break it down, you see the triples. The Rockies tied for the lead in triples, also in doubles in baseball in the National League. But now he puts him in the situation where the changeup breaking ball comes into play, looking for a swing and miss, and he got it on the heater.
Well,
at 95.
Again, yeah, that's the thing about it. The one thing this young kid has impressed me with the most is his ability to go get extra. In other words, 88-91, 88-91, all of a sudden he needs a punch out, and he jumps on it at 95 miles an hour and puts it where he wants to.
Well, that was 4 well-executed pitches by Jurgens. Helton comes up. He walked his first time. You've often said that, George. The great ones have the ability to go get a little bit extra, a little extra movement when they need it in critical situations.
Yeah, and they have that big gear. You know, that's the one thing. They've got that other gear they play at. You know, what he does really well, to be honest, I mean, he just punches 4 corners. You know, and what I mean by that, folks, when I'm talking about the 4 corners, and he did it to Barmes very well. Right here, right here, right here, and right here. He will work all 4 spots of that catcher. You saw McCann look up to see what Helton was doing.
Back up the middle. It is gloved by the shortstop, Hernandez, and he throws out Helton by a couple of steps. Diori Hernandez, playing because Yunel Escobar has a bad back, takes a run away from the Rockies.
with a .364 batting average. Tell us the last Brave to win an NL batting title. It was Chipper last year. How about before that, guys?
All right, good question. Thank you, Mark. And the first pitch from Jason Marquis to Ryan Church misses. Ryan Church grounded to second his first time up. First at bat as a Brave since coming yesterday from the New York Mets. You know, one of the issues for Ryan Church throughout his career has been staying healthy. Had a hamstring injury earlier this year. Remember the concussion he suffered last year in the collision in the field? Was that last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I believe.
Seth Smith makes the catch. That'll bring up Brooks Conrad, who had an RBI infield hit and a smash toward Todd Helton in the second inning. If your windshield has damage, call Elite Safelite Auto Glass 303-287-5000. Online at safelight.com. One 1-0 on Conrad. Braves on a 10-game road trip prior to the All-Star break. They're 4-4 so far in the trip. Last year they won the season series with the Rockies 4-3, though they have gotten the worst of it at Coors Field at least the last few years. They've lost 4 of their last 5 series here. This ball liner that's off the end of the bat to left by Clint Barmes. Nice play by Barmes.
Well, what I found interesting was that Marquis jumped nearly as high as he did. Watch this, folks, right off of the bat. Watch Marquis. He's going to go, all right, we got to jump. Yeah, we did it together and made the catch. Good look, guys. There's one more look at it. Just kind of, he seemed to go down on his haunches and then just leap as high as he possibly could, able to make it. Hernandez tries to lay a bunt down. Marquis read it very well. He got to the line in a hurry.
Here's the 0-1 on Diori Hernandez. This ball is hit to right field pretty deep with the wind. And a good jump initially by Brad Hopp to get there. 1-2-3 inning for Jason Marquis. The Braves lead it 2-0. Hopp.
Your question. Last year, Chipper Jones hit .364. That led all the big leagues in hitting. He won the NL batting title. The last Brave to win an NL batting title, 1991, when their hitting coach Terry Pendleton hit .319 that year. He had 187 hits. He was the NL MVP. And oh, by the way, in the World Series, which the Braves lost that year to the Twins, 4-3, he hit .367 in the World Series, guys.
All right, Mark Brad Hopp will lead it off against Jair Jurgens, and he hits this ball in the air to center field. McLeod will have an easy play, 1 out. You know, the game of baseball, and it doesn't matter. I mean, if you can communicate and understand the principles of hitting, you can be a great hitting coach. It's like Mr. Jaramillo down in Texas has a great reputation. But in this ball game, you have 2 hitting coaches that were accomplished big league hitters in Don Baylor, obviously, and Terry Pendleton.
And both guys not necessarily about the fundamentals of hitting the pitch as much as just 1 or 2 little suggestions instead of trying to overhaul a complete swing. The other thing that both of these guys do extremely well is the psychology side of the hitting. In other words, you know, to the whiskey, you're going up. First time he gave you a fastball in, don't look again because you smoked that. Think second time through, this guy likes to throw a breaking ball, went ahead in the count. Or you may flash it at you on the very first pitch and then try to hit you hard in with the fastball. Be prepared for it. And that's the side of it that they can read into pitchers, and they can follow patterns and catch patterns and relay that on to the hitters.
I think also with good hitting coaches, they take ego out of it, their own ego. Case in point, Terry Pendleton. I had a lengthy conversation about this topic with him yesterday. In the offseason, Jeff Francoeur, who he says he adores, he said he's a wonderful kid, and he obviously wishes him all the best in New York. But Francoeur is a guy that listens to everybody. And in the offseason, he went down and worked with Rudy Jaramillo in Texas. And, you know, the only thing Terry, I think, was hurt about is that he didn't say, hey, I'm going to go do this first. Because Terry said, I have no problem. Anything we can do or anybody can do that'll help you, great. And that's what I mean by divorcing your ego from it. You know, Terry works very closely with Chipper Jones, whose hitting coach his entire life has been his dad. And that's okay with him.
Well, again, I mean, that's no different than my son with me as a pitcher in the Rockies organization is going to call me more times than he's going to go to the pitching coach because obviously of what I've accomplished and where I'm at. The one thing that I think that's changed in the game today from when I happen to be wearing a uniform is this stay in the box thing. You know, well, if you're, you know, I've played the game and been around it 37 years. If a pitcher comes and asks me a question, I'm going to give him the answer. I'm not going to go seek out and make sure I do all the right channels. I'm going to try to help a guy to get better. And I think the other thing that these guys do a very good job of is the positive side of things. Negativity ruins everything. When somebody comes in negative, whether it's at your workplace at home while you're listening or here in this ballpark as a player, you're not going to succeed very often. And that's where staying positive really helps.
That's a double play ball. And the Rockies are having trouble putting 2 quality at-bats back-to-back together against Jurgens. He's on his game, 2-0 Braves. X knows. We go back to July the 11th, 1998. Padre reliever Trevor Hoffman, brother of opposing manager at the time, Glenn Hoffman of the Dodgers. The Padres win 4-1 as he saves the ball game. First time in big league history a player has faced his brother as a manager. Glenn Hoffman now the Padres third base coach and has been for a while. Trevor's gone. He's off to Milwaukee saving ball games. Jair Jurgens takes ball one from Jason Marquis. This ball game, George, is a similar pattern to last night's game. The Braves got the big hit. They've gotten a great pitching performance so far from this kid Jurgens. And that's a swinging bunt. Tough play for Marquis. No play. You know, Jurgens, according to your old friend, your old Oklahoma Sooner buddy, Joe Simpson, who does the broadcast on the other side, said until Nate McLouth arrived, Jurgens may have been their fastest player.
Well, then Joe would know that. I mean, he's watched this kid come up through it. And he's watched the Braves for what, the last 16 years. He's showing pretty good athleticism on the base pass with the bat and on the mound.
He's 2 for 2 in the game. And here is McLouth. I'll tell you an interesting story about McLouth. Good pickup. That's one of those infield pickups. No time to even move over and block the baseball. Get a heater in the dirt. Use that glove. McLouth is fluent in Spanish, so much so, he took it in high school growing up in Michigan, so much so that he really does a very good job, George, bridging the clubhouse, the Latin kids and the American kids. And he was sitting there having dinner last night before the ball game with 3 kids from Latin America, and he had them in stitches, all in Spanish.
That's pretty cool that he's able to do that. That's just another part of leadership that you'd like to have out of a semi-veteran guy. I mean, he's getting time in the big leagues and having success and make them feel comfortable.
2 balls and a strike on McLouth. 0 for 2 in the ball game. 0 for 5 last night, which snapped a 10-game hitting streak for McLouth. Let's take a look at tonight's high-speed pitch. It's brought to you every night by Quest High-Speed Internet. Jurgens hit 95 when he struck out Clint Barmas. And Marquis working that sinker at 90, 91. Occasionally you'll see him go 92, 93. 2-2 and slider in on the knuckles, it looked like. This Braves team's going to be salty in the NL East, George, because of the pitching they can throw out there. If Lowe is turned around, last night he looked terrific after 5 difficult outings. Jurgens, who's been terrific all year long.
Don't forget Hudson coming back either.
Hudson's coming back. Yep. Vasquez shouldn't be out long.
No, I mean, in Hudson, and then you got Tommy Hanson, who pitched pretty well. A very good young arm. So.
And their bullpen solid.
And the bullpen from the left side is very solid. And then they finally got Soriano closing out games. The Rockies saw him last night.
Yeah, they're not going to put an 8 spot up on you a ton, but they're going to be in games with that pitching staff.
Anytime a guy like Bobby Cox looks at me and holds his fingers up and says, you know what, we're that close. A guy like that tells you, been around a game that long, he senses his locker room. He senses what this team can do.
Two and 2 on McLouth. .68 pitches in for Jason Marquis.
Couple of quick innings, has had some big innings. 66, Drew mentioned it. 41 of those have been strikes. The highest, a lot of those pitches came in the second inning.
Swung on, foul tip, held by Iannetta. And McLouth is gone. Second time Marquis has struck him out.
Good hard slider down in the middle of the plate. See his ball just bottom drop out of it. Marquis really overemphasizes the fact of getting on top of this pitch to create that downward move on the baseball.
Now it'll be Martin Prado, a strikeout and a fly ball to left field. Jurgens at first, ground ball past the diving Todd Help. Jurgens is going to stop at second base, though he rounded hard, then looked at Brian Snitker, the third base coach, as he should do.
Ball's hit pretty hard, too. I mean, I just looked at Doug Marino and said, who is this guy? I mean, he hits everything anywhere he wants to. It's amazing. That pitch was away, a late reaction to the baseball, just shot it through the gap on the right side. Well, dangerous spot now with one out, Jones up and McCann right behind him.
Chipper double last time up over the head of Dexter Fowler. That's not easy to do. 6 for 12 lifetime against Jason Marquis. Marquis with 11 wins, trying to be the first Rocky to win 12 before the All-Star break. Sinkers down, ball one. Sean Chacon in an All-Star season in 03 went 11-4 in the first half. Aaron Cook went 11-6 last year in an All-Star campaign. And now Jason Marquis sits at 11-5. Kevin Ritz won 10 ball games in the first half of '96 on his way to 17 wins. Outside, 2-0. McCann is on deck. Already down 2-0. Marquis needs to make a pitch here. Here's what we were just talking about. Wins before the All-Star break in the history of this franchise.
Well, I think too, Marquis in this situation right now has a good opportunity to throw the hard slider. He can throw it for a strike when behind in the count.
This ball softly hit foul. He got some bite on that sinker.
Well, I tell you, it was. I mean, he threw it at 91 miles an hour. Really got good extension, pronated to the inside, and got it there.
Home runs in the National League, not surprisingly, the Phils leading everybody. Then the Rockies with 99 home runs, tied with the Brewers. 2-1 on Chipper Jones. Ball on the ground here would be lovely. Jones can't run real hard with the groin strain. Down 2-0 with Jair Jurgens pitching. He can't fall behind by much more. Chipper this year 373 with runners in scoring position. Slider misses, 3-2. Jones has grounded into 7 double plays this year. And there's what he's done, as we just chatted about, with runners in scoring position. Brian McCann on deck. Slider again. Jones, so disciplined, stayed off it, and now the bases are loaded for McCann. Now here's the good news. Jason Marquis has been in this situation 9 times this year. The opposition is 0 for 9 with the bases loaded against Jason Marquis.
Making pitches when you have to. Can McCann hit the ball with the bases loaded? Very good hitter at the plate, but a guy that doesn't run very well. So obviously that opportunity for a double play ball jumps up at you. Drew mentioned that Jones had hit into 7. McCann on the season has not hit into that many, just 8. Well, Drew, the numbers for McCann with the bases loaded are pretty good. 3 for 5 on the season, 600 average. So guess what? It's the pitcher's turn, right?
Gotta be. Rocky set for 2. 1 out, bases loaded, 2-0 Atlanta. We're in the 5th, and that pitch is away. Brian McCann, since the start of 2006, leads all big league catchers at homers, extra base hits. That's a strike. Doubles, RBIs, and he's second in game-winning RBIs. He has been that productive. Jurgen started it with an infield hit. And this ball is lifted to center field. It's going to get another run home. Fowler makes the catch, and everybody else going to tag and move up. I'll tell you what, Prado went in very casually to third. He almost got nailed.
Well, what was the third base? Did the third base coach have him going down too? I mean, what a great throw by Dexter Fowler in center field. Because I'm watching Chipper at first base to see if he's going to take off. But Dexter just planted, and then here's a great exhibit of that arm. Put it right on the money. Yeah, I mean, why didn't you slide?
Good base running by the Braves, and Jones and Prado moving up. Garrett Anderson at the plate, 0 for 2. Marquis' command, George, is off just a little bit. It's not like he's walked a lot of people. He's walked one guy, and that was Chipper Jones. He was careful with him, but just off a little bit.
Well, wait till normally you see a 2-to-1 ball ratio for him, and right now you're looking at 48 and 34. That's not typically what he does, and typically a much shorter pitch count too. So fortunate right now that they've extended some innings, and he's had some of those left-handed bats he's had to try to pitch around.
Garrett Anderson takes a strike. Walk to Anderson to load the bases again. Ryan Church coming up. This is where the Braves have 3 straight lefties in their lineup. Church is 0 for 2. Bob Apodaca getting on the phone. Pitch count has jumped up to 85.
Marquis is due to hit third in the inning. Appears Josh Fogg will be the guy getting loose, and it is.
And again, Marquis, George, with the fastball, trying to get it arm side, as pitching coaches like to say. He's been missing by a foot and a half.
Trying to keep it on the outside corner to a left-hander and let the ball sink down and away from there. And I think what he's done is just letting his hand get flat on the baseball. And here's one that did not get flat, but hit well to left.
Yeah, Smith still going back, and he tracks it down as he smacks into the wall. Well, remember that play if the Rockies are able to rally in this ball game, because that would have cleared the bases. A run for the Braves. They lead it 3-0.
Tuesday in St. Louis. Let's start with this one. There are 25 first-time All-Stars that'll be in the game on Tuesday, including Brad Hopp and Jason Markey, which makes it even more amazing to think that Hank Aaron, Stan Musial, and the like have appeared in 24 All-Star games. Now, Bobby Cox, the manager of the Braves, 1-4 in All-Star games. The year that he won, 1996, was when Dante Bichette started in right field in Philadelphia. He had a double and scored a run, and also Ellis Burks in that game went 1 for 2. So some All-Star fun facts from XL Energy. Drew, George?
Willie Mays, the other one who made 24 All-Star appearances.
Why not forget that?
Yeah, no, the great quote about the All-Star game and Willie Mays. The All-Star game was made for Willie Mays.
Yeah, there you go.
Iannetta called strike. It's 1-2. George, this young man turned 23 over the winter, and the way he pitches, as composed as he is, start after start, it belies the age. It really does.
Well, you know, I look back at his minor league years, and I was trying to think, all right, where's this guy been and what's he done? With the Tigers, he stayed 2 years in the Gulf Coast League, went to Oneonta at the end of his second year. Western Michigan was a low A, and then he went to high A to Lakeland, and that's where he really took off. It became a pitcher. But the one thing he's never done, he's never given up a lot of walks. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs. He got 11 home runs last year in 188 innings. He only walked 70.
He's only given up 7 home runs this year. Another strikeout. He's got 3 of those. That'll bring up Seth Smith, who struck out back in the second inning.
And a big guy. I mean, he's 6'1", weighs 200 pounds. Probably weighs a little bit more than that. Very thick lower half. Guy knows how to pitch a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you something.
You know who came in to trade? You know who came in to trade with him from Detroit?
That's what I was just going to go to, because when you look at the Atlanta Braves history, and John Sherholtz is now advising, but former president. John has a long and distinguished front office career in baseball, going back to his days in Kansas City. You want to talk about one of the all-time trades? Listen to this. They acquired him from Detroit with Gorky Hernandez in exchange for Edgar Renteria in the offseason of 2007. That slider's high. Well, Gorky Hernandez, who was a well-thought-of prospect by Detroit, an outfielder, was just flipped to Pittsburgh as part of the Nate McLeod deal. So part of that, if you want, you got your center fielder and the guy who's headlining your staff now in Jair Jurgens for Edgar Renteria, who was on the back end of his career.
Well, that's one thing about John Sherholtz. He has so many ex-big league managers working for him. One of those, Jim Fregosi, is one of those guys, senior, that is out traveling. Dick Balderson is who is here at the ball game tonight. Has worked in every capacity, evaluating all of their.
This hit a long way to right, but not long enough. Tracked down by Church.
They're out evaluating that talent on an every night basis, and when they come back with the deal, the reputation Sherholtz always had in the room was, I'll trade Drew for George. Well, how about if we gave you I said I would trade Drew for George. Well, no, what if we gave you this guy out of A-ball and the other guy? I said I will do this. If you don't want to do this, then I'm leaving. And people realized that John meant business when he walked into the room and said, this is what I will do. I'm not going to get into a bunch of, this is what I will do. And that's how he goes in, and people are like, well, I really want to make that trade. And then they make the trade, and he always seems to come up with the better end of it. Well, Maddox, Schmaltz, just to name a few. Joel Alexander went over to Detroit, though, and pitched very well for the Tigers. I will say that. Very good, distinguished big league career, but nothing like Mr. Schmaltz.
No. This is out in front of the plate. Jurgens will throw out Marquis, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. Jurgens safely through 5 innings has allowed 2 hits and no runs. 3-0. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stout from the ballpark at 20th and Blake. Top of the 6th inning. The Rockies scored only 1 run last night. They don't have much doing offensively tonight. 2 hits against Jair Jurgens. Jason Marquis, in pursuit of his 12th win, has allowed 3 runs on 7 hits as he goes to work against the bottom third of the Braves lineup in the 6th inning. Let's take a look at our Geico quote of the day from our old friend Tommy Lasorda. I walk into the clubhouse and it's like walking into the Mayo Clinic. We have 4 doctors, 3 therapists, and 5 trainers. Back when I broke in, we had 1 trainer who carried a bottle of rubbing alcohol, and by the 7th inning he drunk it all. That is a great line. It's a very famous Tommy Lasorda line.
He has a few.
He does have a few. And this is a soft liner off the end of the bat. Brooks Conrad is retired on 1 pitch. That'll bring up Diori Hernandez, who's 1 for 2. So yesterday we were talking a lot about the Jeff Francoeur for Ryan Church trade. The last time the Atlanta Braves and New York Mets made a trade, it was in 1996. Greg McMichael went to the Mets for Paul Byrd. And you have to go back to 91, the last time there was an in-season trade between these 2 clubs.
Why is McMichael? Is he the guy to give? Who was the guy to give up Barry's first home run?
McMurtry. Greg McMurtry. It's all his fault, isn't it?
Yes. I think he should have came back and given up 758 or whatever it is too.
762. Diori Hernandez.
Tough question, Drew. Is Barry Bonds going to get in the Hall of Fame?
I think one day he will get in.
Not first time.
No. I don't think any of those guys that are under significant suspicion, no matter what their numbers are, will get in first time. Yeah. Good little practice habit for all you young catchers. Did you see Chris Iannetta? There's nobody on base. But don't get late. He went to block the baseballs 10 feet outside because you block everything.
You know,
it becomes habit.
Well, you know who also really appreciates that? The umpire. Because one of those don't spin back and catch you. Does it again.
And you can't sit back on your haunches. You have to be, as the pitch is coming on the balls of your feet. That's the only way you can shift like that quickly.
Well, that's why I'd say a lot of guys in the league, I watch them, they're so wide with men on base that there's areas they can't go block. And if you watch Chris, his knees are just barely outside his shoulders.
I bet Hernandez saying that he threw me 3 straight sliders and he missed badly on the previous 2. He wasn't going to do it again, was he? He did, and he struck him out.
Yeah, pretty good slider, absolutely. Stayed on top, elevated a little bit. The other 2 were down here. Well, you can look at this one. Pretty good pitch, obviously, by Jason Marquis.
Jurgens is 2 for 2 in the game.
Daly had started throwing, appeared to be Matt Daly, throwing down in the bullpen. You know, Bilal's warming up. See, both those guys raise their pants up now. See, that's how I tell. I look at deliveries and then I look at how they're dressed. Some guys wear their pants down, some go up. Marquis at 96 pitches in the 6th inning, trailing 3-0. The bulldog attitude, there'll be an argument in the dugout.
Oh, do you remember he wanted the baseball to go out in the 9th inning naturally, and you appreciate that. That was in his last start against Washington. He works a 1-2-3-6. The Rockies need to get the bats going. They've been shut out thus far 3-0 by Jurgens. 1,999 hits, and he rips the baseball to left, standing O from his teammates. Career hit number 2,000. Brought to you by Jack in the Box. Right now, try the mini Buffalo Ranch chicken sandwiches, 3 mini home-style chicken fillets on toasted mini buns. Well, the Rockies will get their third look at Jair Jurgens. Dexter Fowler, who has both hits for the Rockies, an infield hit in the in the bottom of the first, and then a triple with 1 out in the third. He will lead it off, and then Barmes and Helton. The Rockies have had only 4 base runners. The aforementioned hits by Fowler, a walk to Helton in the first, and a 1-out walk in the 4th inning to Troy Tulowitzki. That is it against Jair Jurgens, who's 3-1 lifetime against Colorado. And again, I remind you, this young man, who I'm sure you've heard of by this point, his 3rd year, is 23.
First year at Detroit, that's what kind of surprised you. 3-1 and 7 starts that he made at the end of the season. 24 hits in 30-plus innings, 13 strikeouts. Traded to Atlanta, he wins 13 games.
And if you're hoping the pitch count gets him, Frazier, he's at 76 right now.
Well, he just pounds the strike zone so much that has the ability to work deeper into ball games.
1-2.
Not scared to throw inside. The most pitches he's thrown in a ball game. Looked at this a little bit earlier. 120 in a start, 6 2/3 versus Pittsburgh. Average pitch count per start, 92.
You know, we always talk about those 6'5", 6'6" guys. Say, man, you got an ideal body to throw the baseball. You know, like a Ubaldo Jimenez, who's 6'4", a little bit over 6'4". Well, this guy is about 6'2", but he's got a powerful lower body.
We talked about that earlier, back in about the 2nd inning. You just watch his hips and thighs where he gets into the position when he makes that turn. You see the pitches by inning here with him. Very short in the 4th and 5th. That allows him to work here in the 6th, 7th, and 8th, probably more than likely. But when he makes the turn in that delivery, watch the flex in that back leg as he drives to the plate. That allows a little bit extra of that velocity and allows him to take pressure off of the arm. Foul ball off of Dexter Fowler. Appeared to be his shin.
Well, Mom and Dad, George, in town the last few days. They've headed back to Atlanta today. Dexter, after the ball game tomorrow night, will head home for a few days. Get some of Mom's good cooking. Here's the 2-2. Down low, 3-2. And a good eye. So Fowler has been aboard all 3 times tonight against Jurgens, and that raises his on-base percentage slightly higher in July. .447 before that at bat. So he's been doing what a leadoff hitter needs to do, and that's get on base.
Think of the pressure applied upon Dexter Fowler as a young rookie to come up and play this position, center field, very important in the middle of the ballpark, and then also in a leadoff spot. Doing all of the above, well above average. Great crowd at Coors Field. The Atlanta Braves are in town. The Rockies are playing good baseball.
35,238 last night. At least that many, it looks like, tonight.
Mary mentioned earlier, right now with Jurgens and McCann, 7 for 14 combination of throwing out base stealers. Dexter was thrown out once earlier in the series. Last time he stole a base back in the 1st inning after singling. His 20th steal of the year.
There he goes, and it's lined to Hernandez. It's going to turn into a double play, and it's been that kind of 48 hours for the Rockies. Remember the 1st inning, 2 on, 2 outs. Troy Tulowitzki hit a similar line drive that Hernandez caught.
Yeah, it is. And then a couple of men on base with this one. That's just an inch of getting out of the reach of his glove, and he caught it. He just turns around to look to see where Dexter is, and then just makes the flip over to first base. how many line drive double plays? Was this the Washington series or this series that they've had so many? At 3. Wasn't it the first game here? They had 3?
Well, that was in. Was it? I think it was the end of the Washington series, wasn't it? Or
yeah.
Tuesday night
line
against
drive
Washington.
double plays.
One to 0 on Todd. When you had the leadoff man on, hard shot off the bat of Barmas. Chance to have 2 on, nobody out. This ball is hit to right center field and deep. This will roll to the wall. Helton's going to have himself his 496th double. That would have looked really nice had Barmas's line drive eluded the glove of Hernandez. We'd be talking about a 3-2 game now.
Probably. Yeah, you're exactly right. You know, that's the wonderful thing about the game of baseball. It is a game of inches. And that 1 inch was very angry and then prevented the Rockies from having some tallies on the board. Here it is last night. Todd Helton. Fastball from Derek Lowe up into the strike zone.
Well, that's our Colorado Mining Association power hit of the week. Cole, real power, rain or shine, no matter which way the wind blows, and it's mined in Colorado. There's a power hit right there, a double. See if the Rockies can break the ice. I mean, you still have, after this inning, 9 outs to work with. You can chip away. If Hop comes through here, it's a 2-run ball game. 1-1. Talked to Brad before the ball game about the distinct possibility with the injury to Carlos Beltran, who was voted into the ball game, that he will now be one of the starters in the outfield for the NL All-Stars in St. Louis Tuesday. And in typical Brad Hop fashion, he said, you know, it'll be really cool if that happens. Brad is really low-key, and I always invoke Lou Brock here because George has told me this story for 20-plus years since we first met in 1988, that Lou Brock was really even keel, which is a great demeanor to have in baseball, and deal with the failure.
Really, with anything.
Yeah.
I mean, any athletic event that you're in, particularly even in the real work world of sales, you're going to have great days, bad days, and you just stay that even keel, stay after it. The other thing I'll say about Brad, he feels every day it's a privilege to get to do what he's doing. He's not entitled to do it. He feels it's a privilege. And that every day he's getting to do something that he thought he would never get to do.
I love the line he had last week when asked about the All-Star game. He goes, heck, I just want to make my high school baseball team. Fouled off again. And, you know, that's a great goal for most kids. I mean, if you can play high school baseball, what a wonderful thing. And then for these guys that are tremendously gifted and have put in a tremendous amount of time working on their craft and have a little luck along the way. Lo and behold, they play in front of 35,000, 40,000 every night. In the dirt, 2-2. And then if you're among the select few, you get to lose 3 off days in the middle of the summer and go to an All-Star game, right?
Well, you just never really anticipated when you're playing this thing in high school. I mean, I had cut 3 years in a row from my high school team. But you never anticipate, you know, once you get to this level, it's just a game, and then all of a sudden it becomes a job, and then you realize what you're doing, and you love what you're doing. It's just icing on the cake to get to do what Brad Hop's doing next week in St. Louis.
Jurgen's at 90 pitches. Well, somebody's counting wrong. Either we're counting wrong in our truck or they're counting wrong upstairs, because they have 92 up on the big board.
Truck is never
ballpark.
wrong.
Well, the truck, we're going to go with our truck. 2-2. 3-2. Tulowitzki on deck. Say another possibility, George. Jonathan Broxton has a toe injury. He's been scratching the All-Star game. Houston Street's got to be on a short list for Charlie Manuel.
Yeah, I mean, who else is there to pick from?
Here's the 3-2, and it's rolled to first. And Jurgens gets out of this situation. 6 shutout innings for the 23-year-old from Curacao. 3-0. Jason Marquis, after 6 innings, departs. All 3 runs he allowed were earned. Struck out 4, walked a couple. Matt Belisle, in his return to the big leagues, gets the call here in the top of the 7th inning. And this call to the pen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 800 Comcast.
Well, the right-hander has done a pretty nice job since going back to Colorado Springs, throwing out of their bullpen. And again, it's a different situation. There's no kind of, I don't want to say rest, but pacing in a ball game. When you come out of the bullpen, man, you're blowing. I mean, it's everything you've got to come out into that game. He struck out 12 and 17 in the third. He's only walked 4. That was when he was here in the big leagues with the Rockies earlier. He has that ability to strike people out. He also has the ability to get big innings when he elevates the ball in the strike zone.
He said it was a return to basics for him. Bob Apodaca said one of the things he worked on with some degree of success is tempo and quickening his tempo, especially, George, with men on base. Remember when guys reach against Belisle, it really slows down.
Well, it does, and it's all of a sudden you start to maybe think, are they scared? Is your thought process in trouble now of how you're going to attack hitters? I think that's where Chuck Neffen, too, the AAA pitching coach. The Rockies are very lucky, or have been very lucky. Bob McClure, who works for Kansas City Royals now, was there for a number of years. Chuck had worked at the big league level for the Arizona Diamondbacks, lived in Colorado Springs, so it's a great fit. You got a big league pitching coach working, which understands the pressure of the big leagues. He understands the communication with he and Bob Apodaca to try to fix some of these guys.
Right center field from McLeod, well hit, and it's going to short hop the wall. And Fowler and Hop can't grab it. McLeod to third with a triple. That ball was hit well. The wind, which we described as howling towards right center earlier in the ball game, not nearly as significant right now. This thing was just hit well.
It hit very well on a fastball, or excuse me, a slider at 84 miles an hour in the inner half of the plate. Hit out here, and then this allowed him, when the ball got away from Hop up against the wall, he went to catch the baseball as it came off. As he did, Dexter's running in there, it kind of like whiffed on the ball.
Dexter was ducking because he saw Brad was going to grab it. Infield comes halfway with Prado. He's 1 for 3. There's a triple all the way.
See, here for me, I really don't think they'll do a contact deal. Even though McLeod has great speed, there's nobody out. Pretty good hitter here, but a really good hitter in the on-deck circle.
Oh, you're absolutely right. They don't send him, and the ground ball to Barmes. And that is more typical with nobody out. Now, with 1 out, it clears the pitcher on contact. McLeod's going to come flying.
Well, you have to, because now, that's going to be the second out if it's caught. Then a fly ball doesn't score it. But now with 1 out on this situation, I think, too, not sending him with no outs, it's got to get through. Part of that is where you are in your lineup and what you're trying to do.
I'd pass on him, wouldn't you?
More than likely I wouldn't. Just go ahead and walk. And you go to McCann, set up a double play, and hope you can pull it off. You can't pass on every. Everybody always asks me when this happens in a game, have you ever seen him throw it over the guy scoring? I said, yes. Lance Parrish was catching in the Metrodome 1993. And they threw it all the way over him to the screen in the 9th inning with runners on 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs in a tie ball game at the Metrodome. He's going to walk to load the bases, forces everywhere. We can shut this thing down. Guy fired it off the wall, then the Twins won the ball game.
Did you ever see a guy reach out? It's happened. I'm trying to think of the last guy I remember doing it. Reach out and swing at one of the quote-unquote intentional.
Well, one of the biggest ones that was ever pulled off was in a World Series with Johnny Bench on a 3-2 count. He squatted back down, strike 3. They thought he was going to walk. It was a 3-2 count. They said, all right, let's go ahead and walk him. After a meeting on the mound, well, he went back and he squatted. He had his hand out, or he didn't squat. He's standing up as if he's going to have the hand out. Naturally, the batter just relaxed onto the shoulder. Okay, you're going to walk. You won't pitch to him. Oh, they did. Strike 3. See you later.
So 1st and 3rd, Brian McCann at the plate. He came up in a similar situation, though with the bases loaded, in the 5th inning and hit a sac fly to center field. Braves are up 3-0. They got 2 in the 2nd. They added a run in the 5th on the McCann sac fly. 36 RBIs for McCann, and the pitch is in there for a strike. Jason Hamill and Chris Medlin tomorrow. Final ball game before the All-Star break. Two balls and a strike. Windshield damaged in any way, call Colorado's #1 team. Elite Safelite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000, online at safelite.com. McLouth's at third. He tripled. Chipper Jones at first. Foul ball, 2-2. Foul ball.
Yeah, the first 10,000 through the gates on Tuesday, July 21st, will receive a Frontier Airlines mystery gift card with value ranging from $5 to $500. Purchase your tickets to that ball game versus the Diamondbacks at any one of the Rockies ticket outlets.
In the air to deep enough left field. Smith sets his feet. He's not going to have a play on McLouth. Second sac fly of the ball game for Brian McCann. That was a very professional at bat. Fouled off a number of pitches. Got something up that he could lift. And he produces Atlanta's 4th run. This has been a vintage Atlanta baseball game. You flash back to the mid-90s through their 14 division titles. Great pitching and opportunistic offense.
Yeah, no question about it. That's how they've won a ton of ball games. Bilal comes right back up. You know, he's not trying to give up that leadoff triple to McLouth, but once he did, you just had that feeling that they were going to get that run across somehow. Now it's just a matter of making sure nothing else gets tacked on.
Garrett Anderson 0 for 2 and a walk. First season out of Orange County for Garrett Anderson. The owner of more than 2,000 hits and more than 500 doubles. On the ground at Clint Barmas. In the inning, McLouth, a leadoff triple, comes around on the McCann fly ball. 4-0 Braves. Stretch time at Coors Field. brings ups. Leaping to take a base hit away earlier in the ball game. And Marquis showing his up saying, yeah, not a baby. That was a Frost Brewed Coors Light freeze camp. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Rockies trailing 4-0. Jair Jurgens will face Troy Tulowitzki, Ian Stewart, Chris Iannetta. Troy Tulowitzki is 0 for 1. He lined out in the first, then he walked in the 4th inning. That is a strike, 1-1. Time for our Great Colorado Payback Sideline Report with Mark Stout. Mark?
All right, thank you, Drew. I'm here with my friend Jade. She is a Special Olympics athlete. I met her at Copper Mountain this year during the Winter Olympics. And Jade, tell everybody who your favorite player is.
Troy Tulowitzki.
And Tulo's about. Why do you like Tulo?
Because he's my favorite player.
And she also told me, guys, that she was here for the World Series games. And who did you like the best out of the Rockies during the World Series?
Josh Fogg.
Hold on. Tulo may have gone deep. Well, that...
Home run number 15 for Tulowitzki, and it's a 4-1 ball game. And for the Rockies, that's their 100th big fly of the year. Maybe that'll get them on track.
Well, you would hope so. That's a breaking ball just left up into the strike zone. Tulo set all over this thing. Drove it right out into left center field on great extension. Greedy of the recognition of the pitch on the way to the plate. All Anderson can do is watch it.
Ian Stewart has hit the ball on the ground twice in the ball game, and he took a strike from Jurgens.
As you start to map up this game here, you're looking at it and you're saying, all right, Garrett Atkins would hit for the pitcher, Jason Marquis. Seth Smith's in the ball game. The other option you have then is Gonzalez, Spielborgs. But you hope there's men on and try to take advantage of Garrett Atkins.
This is hit pretty well left center field, better than McLeod thought. Off the wall, if not for a great grab right there, George. That's in inside the park home run territory.
Well, that's danger.
I'm telling you.
Danger because Garrett Anderson didn't get over to back up. That's where he has to get over and back up. No way your right fielder is going to go all the way into left center field to try to back that play up. It's in left center. Anderson has to get around behind him to make a play over there. No way Church can get there. Look where this ball's at. It's in the deepest part of the ballpark. It's going to ricochet right back. Able to grab the baseball. Bobby Cox is going to grab a reliever out of the bullpen. Nice play by McLeod. Now you have nobody out in a 4-1 ball game. A chance for the Rockies, and Bobby Cox sees it. He's getting the youngster out of there.
It's a moot point now, but honestly, that ball, if he doesn't grab that with his bare hand, his momentum's going one way. That ball's going to a vacated area, and Stewart's already around second base. So the Rockies trying to rally here in the 7th. A home run by Tulowitzki. Stewart at second, nobody out.
The kid pitched very well. He struck out 3, walked 3, only 5 hits, 2 of those coming in this inning. He'll get out of the ball game. They'll turn it over to their bullpen with hopes that Moylan can try to shut down Iannetta. Then you have Smith, the left-hander. It appears they have a left-hander starting to throw, trying to look. He's down behind the bushes. We're kind of blocked from that view to see who else they have going down in their bullpen. There's a guy standing over there on the mound. Smith, and then, you know, if the guy's on, you got to give Atkins a shot with a couple of guys on to try to leave the yard.
Moylan, the busiest reliever in baseball this year. 48th appearance. Iannetta takes a strike. Chris, a comebacker and a strikeout. 2 hits each of the last 2 nights.
There's that big wiffle ball slider.
Yep.
Moylan came in, pitched in the ball game the other night. Looking back into the book, see exactly which ball game he came into. It was that first night Moylan came in, gave up 2 base hits and a run in a third of an inning.
Oh, 0-2 on Chris.
Yep, a lot of anger there in that swing just because of the pitch and its location. Now look at it. I mean, this is that big old slider, but it was down into the ground. You see Iannetta's frustration that he went out after this pitch. Go ahead and let it roll, guys. And he comes back around. You're going to see him slap that bat. Very disappointed. At least he could have done is move the runner over to third base, if not drive him in.
Atkins has come out on deck as Seth Smith approaches the plate. Smitty's got to look at this, George. It's like it's a pinch hitting appearance. Up the middle, on third, base hit. Around third is Stewart. He'll score easily. It's his role late in the ball game. He's always pinch hitting. Same situation there. He makes it 4-2.
A strikeout, a fly out, and now this base hit right back up the middle. And smiles by Ian Stewart because he didn't try to pull the ball from Baylor. As they talk, this ball got by Moylan. Watch when the ball's hit. Moylan's going to stab at it, but it got through him and then right back up the middle. See, once again, Smith comes through beyond the 7th inning with a base hit and an RBI.
See, George, you know how savvy Bobby Cox is. And he had his choices. I mean, he's got 3 lefties down there, but he went to Moylan here. And I think the reason was he figured that Jim Tracy, with his options in the 9-hole, he would go to Atkins or Spilborghs in front of Carlos Gonzalez, who's a young hitter.
Yeah, he would.
Therefore, 2 righties and 1 lefty versus 2 lefties.
Well, and I think the other reason he brought Moylan into the ball game, he's typically not a guy that gives up a lot of home runs because of the sidearm delivery, the hard sinker and slider. And looking at the ball game in a 4-2 ball game right now, he just didn't want to take that gamble. Also, don't bring in that other guy, O'Flaherty.
Well, you know what? You laugh, but you know what? They're going to get him up, I bet, because Helton and Hop.
He's pitched the last 2 days. We'll see if he does it, but it was only 2/3 of an inning each time.
Rockies have scored 2 here in the 7th. 1 out. Smith at first. 2-1. And there he is. I mean, why not? The success he's had against Helton and Hop, if it gets there, he's going to get a knock at the door.
I'll tell you, how did he pass
jog onto the field?
Pass and get through waivers. Came to the big leagues as a 20-year-old.
He's out of the Seattle organization.
Eddie Perez, former catcher in the Braves organization, as the bullpen coach for Bobby Cox. There he is, right there.
And you know what? He's still got the shin guards on in case somebody needs to be caught.
The other day, Hudson, I was here at 1 o'clock first day in. Hudson to a simulated game. He's back behind the plate catching it.
2-2, and it's fouled off. Good job by Garrett. Key here for Atkins.
Do not try and overswing on the baseball.
And try to stay out of hitting into the double play, which is easy to say from up here. See if they start Smith. Not going. Inside 3 and 2. Now you crank them up, George.
Yeah, purpose pitch there. That was from Moylan right there. He was wanting to come hard in. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if he doesn't go to the slider here. It will not be something on the inner half for Atkins. So he asked for that fastball, pinky away. McCann's going to set up away.
Smith is going, and it's fouled off.
That's that sidearm delivery and that great extension he gets out front. Boy, that's nasty. And very low. Hard to lift that baseball. Garrett did a good job fighting it off. Atkins 0 for 3, as I mentioned a minute ago, against Moylan in his career. Fowler's 1 for 1. Fastball, 3-2 count. Going back to it again? You bet.
Smith off, and it's a line drive, base hit to left. Seth Smith reading it in front. Anderson of the baseball will not have a play out. Smith as he goes first to third. Garrett Atkins again coming through the pinch. Tying run aboard as the Rockies flip the lineup over.
Atkins 3 for 7 as a pinch hitter now. Got a fastball inside, able to open that front side up, fight it off, lift it into the outfield. But knowing that Anderson does not charge the ball well in the outfield, and a below average arm throwing, Smith took advantage of it.
And George, now we invoke the same statement we made last night. Chipper Jones with that groin injury, even with the bag. Moylan, not the most athletic guy on the mound. Fowler lay a bunt down. That's what he's thinking. He pulled it back. Just like putting it in their minds again, George. And now Chipper comes in a step, and if you slap the ball, you have less range on the left side.
Well, I want to check, too. What is the true position for Prado? Where's his true position?
Well, he plays third, second, and first.
Well, my point is he more of a middle infielder, third baseman, than he is a first baseman? How many balls if he pulls it up the first baseline? Where are they at? I know you have the groin injury there.
Well, this year, in terms of starts, 13 starts at first, 13 at second, 13 at third. Talk about even distribution. 1-0 on Fowler. 2-0. Dexter 2 for 2 and a walk. And he pulls the bunt back again. It's 3-0. Barmes is on deck. And you force Moylan to throw a strike. We'll take one. The inning began with the Rockies trailing 4-0. Jair Jurgens cruising along. And that gets away. Here comes Smith. He'll score with the Rockies' third run. Moving to second base is Garrett Atkins. Fowler still standing around home plate. That was a called strike. What happened there to Brian McCann?
Did he miss the baseball completely? Gonzalez will now run for Atkins with the tying run out at second base. Oh, he ran the mask. He whiffed on it. Went right off of the glove.
Wow. I mean, you're not going to get crossed up on a 3-0 pitch. It's going to be a fastball.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it depends. I mean, if he doesn't want to give the kid, put him over at first for whatever reason. I don't know why he would do that. But that he just whiffed on that ball. Gonzalez goes out to second base to pinch run for Atkins. Tying run out at second.
3-1 on Dexter. Ground ball towards short. Gonzalez crosses. Fowler thrown out by Hernandez. And now Clint Barmes will come up.
Well, all that Jurgens can do, sit and cheer and hope they get this final out. I mean, he pitched very well into the ball game, and the only blemish he had was the home run, and they backed it up with a double in the opposite field by Stewart, and the Rockies have gotten after the bullpen.
Barnes deep in the hole on the backhand side. Hernandez long throw. He just got him by about 3/4 of a step. Otherwise, this game is even. It is a whole new ball game, though. The Rockies scored 3 times. Troy Tulowitzki got him going with a home run to left center, his 15th. AMCO Transmissions, AA MCO. Well, the Rockies, who were stymied most of the night by Jair Jurgens, they hit a homer off him and then a long double by Ian Stewart to chase him. And then they rallied some more against Peter Moylan. It is now a 4-3 ball game as Joel Peralta takes over in the top of the 8th. Ryan Church will be his first subject. And a strike on the inside corner. This call to the pen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. The number to call 800 Comcast. Church is 0 for 3 in his first ball game in an Atlanta uniform, though he was robbed of extra bases. A nice running catch in deep left center by Seth Smith back in the 5th inning. And it would have, in all likelihood, driven in 3. The bases were loaded. And there were 2 outs. Here's the 1-1. And this is a line drive to Hilton, who dives to his right and comes up with it 1 out.
It's all about reaction, and Todd Helton's reaction on this baseball, 1 step and dive. Good catch by Helton. Now watch how he gets up on the ball of his feet so he can make that move when the ball's hit. And he does. He makes the move and gets the out. Franklin Morales is warming up in the Rockies bullpen. In case Jim Tracy has to go get him. And the one thing Jim Tracy's talked about with Morales, and it's a legitimate concern, back-to-back days and warming him up and not getting him in a game. And how many times can you get him up and still have him hang on to the freshness or his normal arm when he comes into a ball game? Well, there's a concern because he's been a starter his whole career.
Peralta pours that one over the plate. It's 1-1 on Conrad. One of the things that Jim Tracy shared with us today about Joel Peralta is that he told Peralta, don't just assume you're working the 8th inning or maybe certain situations in the 7th. He said, I may call upon you earlier if I feel it's necessary.
Because of the split finger, he can handle left-handed bats. He's not just sinker slider guy. The split gives lefties a tough time. So he felt comfortable bringing him in there. With the situation with Embry gone, De La Rosa not working out of the bullpen. So really, when I say De La Rosa, he hasn't come out of the bullpen in a long time. He was comfortable to allow Peralta to come face those lefties. Well, he's retired too, huh? One of them a very hard line drive to right. That's De La Rosa. So hey, the game looks like it's a long ways away from back here. I'm used to sitting in the dugout in between all these things. What a great job he's done.
Inside on Diori Hernandez, ball 1. 2 outs, nobody on, top of the 8th. The Rockies trailing 4-3. They'll have Helton, Hop, and Tulowitzki next inning. And you know they're going to get the Irish kid.
The Irish guy, O'Flaherty.
How about this ball game in Philadelphia, George? The Pirates took a 7-3 lead to the 9th inning, and it was a rough outing for Matt Capps. He gave up 5 runs on 6 hits. He walked a couple. Phils win 8-7.
Wow.
Ryan Howard is 22nd home run in that ball game. Here's the 1-1 to Hernandez. Foul back.
Come out to the ballpark on Saturday, July 25th. Take the photos with your favorite Rocky players and coaches. That's right. Gate C opens at 3:15 for season ticket holders. Gate A and D at 3:30 for all the fans. Purchase your tickets to this ball game against the Giants at any one of the Rockies ticket outlets. She's got her camera ready.
Show your camera.
1-2 on Hernandez, who's 1 for 3 tonight. It was the split. It's lined to left field. Seth Smith comes on. Ball had a little curvature to it. Smith made the play. Rockies down by a run. Helton to lead it off in the 8th.
And electronics when you leave the room. For more information on the 20 games of green, visit coloradorockies.com/green.
4-3 ball game, bottom of the 8th. The Atlanta Braves, with Helton and Hop coming up, will turn to Eric O'Flaherty, who seems undaunted by the respective resumes of Helton and Hop. He has faced them in each of the last 2 ball games. Helton 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts. Hop's 0 for 2, 1 strikeout, and a ground ball to second. The time to turn the tables if you're Todd Helton. And both times he struck him out on sliders, and he got Todd way out front. So unusual to see Todd off balance.
Yeah, there it is right there at 85 miles an hour. Now, the one he threw at him that he struck him out with was about 71 or 2. And what he did, he got really high up on top of the ball. And by doing that, he created a more down-type sweeping slider. Just ate up the left-handers. So he keeps you honest.
Count.
I think back to guys like Mike Myers. I think back, who's the guy that was with us and went to Boston? Javier Lopez. They drop down sidearm and they have that big sweeping slider. They don't really have the velocity to back it up. Mike Myers, they don't have the velocity to back it up. So all of a sudden you got a lefty throwing that hard sweeping slider, then he backs it up with a 90 to 92 mile an hour fastball. That's hard.
Todd fouls that off. It remains 1-2. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, George. You got to respect the heater with this guy. I mean,
well, he just gave it to him, at 90. It's in on the hands a little bit, particularly when he's working ahead in a count like this.
Helton pulls into the hole. So Todd Helton out front a little bit, gets the barrel to the slider. And a leadoff knock for Helton against O'Flaherty.
Well, you're going to hang it, and if you do, he's going to get the bat on it. I think Todd got everything started quicker on this at bat than he did on the others. Frees it up on the side swing. See how everything got started earlier? Talking about this leg came out and got down. The foot gets down in a hurry, and then Helton just extends. The head stayed on the pitch much longer in that at bat than the 2 previous when he got it.
Now Martin Prado, with Hop at the plate, is going to stalk Todd, try to give himself an extra step of range. Instead of holding him on, he's kind of playing behind him just a step.
And it's more of a hole for the double play ball. Then he just backs off and gets out of there in a hurry.
2-0 on Hop. Tulowitzki on deck. Rockies have the tying run aboard. 2-0, big swing on a fastball at 92, and it's 2-1. Acosta, Manny Acosta, was in the ball game yesterday and pitched very well. He is getting loose. You would assume it's for the next hitter, Tulowitzki. It's 2-2 now. We'll see what happens, because behind Tulowitzki, Stewart, another left-handed bat.
All right, Anders only hit 254 off of O'Flaherty on the year anyway. Lefty's 217.
2-2, and Hop is gone. O'Flaherty gets him after falling behind 2-0. So 1 out, 1 on. Tulowitzki comes up.
Fastball, and again, he's looking for that hard slider, and it may have been a hard slider. Registered 92 on the guns here at the house. If it was a nasty sinker, I can tell you that, in 92. I thought originally, just watching the pitch on television, it was a slider. And then I looked up on the board here, and they had 92 fastball.
Bobby made no movement toward the stairwell. He's letting O'Flaherty go after Tulowitzki. Last time up, Rockies trailing 4-0. Tulowitzki against Georgians got a slider up in the zone, and he hammered it, his 15th home run of the year. And the Rockies would rally for 2 more last inning. And this is a pop fly to right field. Church coming on. 2 outs. So Ian Stewart will come to the plate. A double in the 7th inning and a run scored. He's 1 for 3. Keep coming back to something we discussed off air last night and briefly on the air tonight. How in the world, with this age, with the age of this kid and the arm that he possesses, did he get placed on waivers by Seattle?
That's the thing. Came to the big leagues with Seattle as a 20-year-old. They ran out of options, and they had, I guess, obviously didn't pitch well enough to stay on their roster. But the Atlanta Braves, whoever had the worst record at that time, had first shot at him in the waiver wire and got it.
Boy, if Ian Stewart could run into one here, this place would erupt. Stewart leads the club in home runs with 16, despite the fact that he has not played every day until the last few weeks. That's a strike at 93 miles an hour. '24-year-old Eric O'Flaherty. 0-2 on Stewart. 1-2. They're the home run leaders for the Rockies. 6 in double figures. First time ever at the All-Star break. 2-2. He's worked himself back even. Helton led the inning off with a single. 4-3 Atlanta, bottom of 8. Boy, he really stayed on that, George.
Well, that's the big thing about left-handed pitchers going against a guy like Ian Stewart. For me, they try to trick him, and that's when he really gets the upper hand. See that hard slider down and away. His weight was back. Everything's distributed. He just fouled it off. It was a nasty, filthy pitch at 85.
Good swing. O'Flaherty thought he was headed to the dugout. Just missed 3-2. So Helton will be moving, which helps if Stewart get one in the gap. High, ball 4. Now with Iannetta coming up, does Bobby Cox go to the right-hander?
I'll tell you what, I mean, he doesn't hesitate much when he's talking in that dugout. You know who's the boss of it. Turned around and visited with Roger McDowell for a minute. Wants to know, have it set up just the way he wants it.
He'll bring in Acosta. The Rockies have the tying run at second base. 2 outs in the 8th inning. 4-3 Braves. Back right after this, we promise. Was wide to Ian Stewart, and now with 2 on, Manny Acosta to face Chris Iannetta, who's 0 for 3, comebacker and 2 strikeouts. Acosta in the ball game last night, an inning and 2/3 of relief, scoreless relief, and he goes to the slider for a strike. He did give up 3 hits.
I like the matchup if he challenges with that fastball. He threw a first pitch slider at 80, and he kind of just dropped it in the middle of the plate.
Iannetta faced Acosta last night and ripped a single to left on a fastball. Here's the 0-1. 1-1. Well played ball game. Marquis started for the Rockies. Jurgens for the Braves. Tied 2-1. Seth Smith is on deck. Iannetta slowly back up the middle and getting to the bag, Brooks Conrad. That ends the threat. We'll go to the 9th inning. Still locked in at 4-3. Comcast and by Mike Shaw, Chevy Soft, Colorado's crossover and SUV headquarters for 50 years. Visit MikeShawAuto.com. It was 4-0 Atlanta. The Rockies got 3 in the 7th. We go now to the 9th. It is still 4-3. Immediately following the ball game, as always, the Rockies post-game report. Tom Helmer has all the details. Tom.
Drew, coming up after the ball game, we'll hear from Jim Tracy. We'll also talk of not the kiss of death, but the kiss of Seth. He comes up with some timely hitting. We'll break that down for you. And also starstruck. This is probably not the way Jason Marquis wanted to go in the All-Star game. And we'll also talk about Brad Hopp. His numbers have not been great over the last week, so we'll break all that down for you right after the ball game. Drew?
All right, Tom, thanks much. Jason Marquis, though he gave up a couple runs early, ends up, George, giving up just 3 runs in 6 innings, 7 hits, walked a couple, struck out 4. It's not a bad outing. Jair Jurgens was just very tough.
He was very, very tough. Made pitches when he had to, but I thought Marquis, too, did much of the same. After they were able to put a couple of runs, 4 hits came up in the 2nd inning.
Matt Diaz in the 9-hole will pinch hit, and Juan Rincon is on the hill for the Rockies. Following Marquis, Belial pitched an inning, Peralta an inning.
Peralta's still on the mound.
Excuse me, Peralta, my bad. Excuse me.
Franklin Morales warming up out in the bullpen now for the Rockies.
Two 2-0 on Diaz, who got a start last night. Both feet were moving on that swing.
Whole lot of things going a lot of directions right there, wasn't it?
Boy, that's a good pitch right there. Nice slider, easy play for Barnes. Diaz retired 4-3.
It's kind of the one pitch he'd gotten away from, to be honest with you. You could see Soriano, they're warming up down in the bullpen. Picked up his save last night. Here's this hard slider from Peralta. Great position. But when you're ahead in the count, you get guys to chase pitches like that. When you work behind in the count, it doesn't happen. They're going to the bullpen to bring the lefty in. Franklin Morales, good job. A very good job by Peralta.
An inning and a third, he got all 4 hitters. Franklin Morales. It'll be his 3rd appearance out of the bullpen since being called up. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Colorado Rockies and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Rockies. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stout out and around the ballpark. So McLeod will come up to face Morales.
This is just working your bullpen, trying to get you to the 9th inning with the score staying the same as it is. That's what Jim Tracy's trying to do right now with Morales coming in.
McLeod tripled in the 7th inning, and this one's on the ground a second in between hop. Nice job by Barnes. A nice soft hand. Two outs, and that'll bring up Martin Prado, who is 1 for 4 as well. He singled back in the 5th inning. In the bottom of the 9th inning, the Rockies will have Seth Smith and then Ryan Spilborghs in all likelihood.
Do you think those Spilborghs are kids in knee if they need to move them over?
If they need to move them, that's the one wild card. You could also send up an Aaron Cook if you wanted to. Dexter Fowler will hit 3rd. Two 2-0 on Prado. In the air to center field and deep. This is well hit. But Dexter's going to get there at the edge of the track. But Prado gave it a ride, no harm done. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. The Rockies need 1 to keep going, 2 to go home happy. see that man coming up late in the ball game. In fact, Seth Smith will lead it off against the Braves closer, Rafael Soriano, the former Seattle Mariner.
Yeah, tough customer, too. He's taken over the closer's role, 11 of 12 in save opportunities. 41 2/3. He just doesn't give up a lot, particularly the long ball.
He did a little closing, George, in 07 when he had 9 saves. Last year, just 3 saves. But he was beat up a little bit last year. He had some right elbow issues. He had surgery, in fact, late last year on that right elbow. Started the year as a setup man for Mike Gonzalez. They have flip-flop roles, and it's worked out very nicely for Bobby Cox and pitching coach Roger McDowell. He worked a 1-2-3 ninth with 2 strikeouts yesterday.
Think about this. Nearly 20 innings more pitched. Good. 20 more innings pitched than he's given up a hit. Just 22 hits in 41 2/3 innings. That's dominance as a closer.
He's a tough guy to cover at the plate, George, because there's wide speed ranges.
Well, he just mixes everything up. Last pitch 93. He'll run it up to 97. He's got a very good curveball slider mix that he'll run at you.
And he darts that one on the outside corner at 95.
See, very slow and meticulous on the mound. You watch him work. It's kind of like, you know what, boys, we're going at my pace. It's not that it has. This is, you know, you mentioned rhythm a minute ago with Bill Lau. This is his rhythm. It's very slow, very methodical, a lot of movement. You just saw a little bit of the bow there into the plate area.
This is fisted to shallow center. It's going to drop. Of course it does. Late in the game, Seth Smith, he hits about 900 or so, it seems. Tying run aboard on an 0-2 pitch, a jam shot to center. It all looks the same tomorrow.
Yeah, figure that batting average after the 7th inning. Wow. You're going to see about 500, folks, of what he has been able to do as a pinch hitter out of the reach of Hernandez, just in front of McLeod. They will allow Spilborghs to go ahead and hit with nobody out and a runner at first. Has not given up 2 or more hits a game since June 11th. Wow.
So Ryan Spilborghs with 1 on and nobody out. And he missed the bunt. So it's 0-1.
As a pinch hitter this year, Spilborghs 1 for 11 with 2 RBI.
Get out of play. He will. 0-2. And now Richie Dower flashing the signs he just got from Jim Tracy. Spilborghs and Smith looking in. 2-strike count as Soriano kind of wanders on the mound. Boy, he is deliberate. Swung on and missed. So Spilborghs failed to bunt, get the bunt out twice, and then swings through the heater at 94. That'll bring up Dexter Fowler with 1 out. When the Rockies score 7 or more, good place to go the next day. Your participating Colorado Taco Bell locations. Get 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink. Do it between 4 and 6 in the afternoon. Fowler tonight, infield hit, a triple, a walk, so he's 2 for 3. And that free pass back in the 6th inning. That's a strike. Soriano is from the Dominican Republic. He was acquired by the Braves in the winter of 2006 for left-handed starter Horatio Ramirez. Remember him?
Yeah, how about it? Yeah, oh yeah, I do.
This ball's rolled foul, and now it's an 0-2 count on Dexter Fowler. High. When Soriano, George, first signed, he was a first baseman. And then in his third year of professional baseball, he was converted. There's a lot of shortstops who are converted, not many first basemen.
No, you don't.
Strike three on the outside corner.
Boy, you talk about paint. That was paint, and it was on the knees. Dexter might be a rookie, but he's going to say something. He didn't like this pitch at all. Dexter was typically Dexter, a guy that could fight off some pitches just off the plate, a couple of inches off the plate with 2 strikes. Got to be able to protect a little bit. It's understandable.
So it comes down to Clint Barmes with Todd Helton on deck. Barmes is 0 for 4 tonight. A lot of room in left center field. Smith at first, a leadoff single. It's a guy, George, I think you want to be aggressive early on because he's a strike thrower, and you don't. Any guy who's got nasty stuff, you don't want to be 0-2, 1-2.
You know what he does really well? He moves the ball off the plate, whether it's a fastball, slider, no matter what it is. I mean, he'll start and catch the outside quarter. Then he'll cut it down to an eighth, and then he'll take you off the block. I mean, that's what makes him such a great player. The one thing I've noticed with Clint Barmes lately, a lot of teams stand away. And they'll show a fastball, and then they'll go slider, and then they'll go fastball off of the plate to try to have success with Clint.
0-2 on Barmes. 2 outs, 4-3 Atlanta. Smith at first. And he got it. So Soriano, back-to-back ball games, gets the save. Yesterday it was 4-1. Tonight the Rockies fall 4-3 after giving Atlanta a 4-0 lead through the first half of the ball game. Colorado got 3 in the 7th, could not rally in the 8th or 9th, and they've